What is up, everyone? Happy Succession Sunday, y'all. We are back on Sunday talking about the fourth and final season of Succession, but in particular the fifth episode, which means the unfortunate part of it all, which is we only have 5 episodes left before it's all said and done. But we still got 5 more weeks. We still got 5 more. Well, 4 now before it's all said and done. But welcome, guys. I love these Sunday conversations. I love interacting with you all. I love the show clearly. And tonight's episode, which happened to be perfectly titled, by the way, Kill List. Alexander Skarsgård, I've been talking about him for a while. If you guys have been part of this channel for a while, whether it's The Northman or seeing him in just various projects in the last, not only in the last few years, but just throughout his career, he's just a great actor. Tonight made me kind of upset because he's so damn good, and I wish we could have gotten more of him in this season and more scenes with him and Logan, because he is just so great. And in tonight's episode, he really got into Roman's head, y'all. And I told y'all last week, it was just a matter of time before Roman kind of snaps. And he has that moment, which was one of my, we'll be talking about that tonight. That scene on the top of the mountain. I want to go to Norway, by the way. Can someone in the chat give some Norway love? Because it's just a beautiful place. But what a great episode, man. I'm so excited to talk about this episode with you all. Again, not only was Manson great and Alexander Skarsgård's performance, the kids were great. Siobhan, let me get a round of applause for Siobhan tonight, because she was making stuff happen. Her conversation with Tom and conversation she had with Roman or with Luke, listen, Siobhan came through. Greg, and y'all know how I feel about Greg and Tom, they came through tonight, and this was just so well written. It was kind of off-putting for me at first, just because it was just like, so we're going out of the country, we're doing this deal, but as the show just kind of went along, I just love the way it was written, and I can't stress enough, Alexander Skarsgård tonight stole this episode. Him and Rome had some of my favorite moments, but again, we'll get into that tonight, and man, really excited to be back with you all. But hey, before I get into rambling and get into the breakdown, thank you to all. We got 70 people watching live. Again, I don't mean this lightly, man. This is serious to me. I always love coming to you all every single Sunday about this great show, interacting with you all. It's so great, man. So I really do appreciate every single one of you all joining me tonight. If you love the show, you enjoy the conversation, hit the thumbs up, share the stream, and leave your thoughts in the comments, y'all. I'll try to get to as many comments as I can, because you guys will be dropping some nuggets, and I love interacting with you all. So definitely leave the comments in the live chat, and of course, watching those watching on the replay. If you can do the same, I would really appreciate it. But before we get into tonight's episode, just a couple of things to let you all know about. For horror fans, we had a pretty good weekend with movies like Evil Dead Rise and Beau is Afraid. I have plenty of coverage on both of those movies, spoiler discussions, especially with Beau is Afraid. I had Kobe and Amanda join me a couple days ago. We shot like an hour and 20-minute long discussion for Beau is Afraid, which was just a crazy movie. So definitely check out those videos. And then for my Barry fans, I do have my Barry review of tonight's episode on the channel now. So just a couple things I want to plug before we get into the discussion. But before we get into it, let's see who we got here in tonight's chat. Let me catch up here. Silver, what's going on? We got Planet in the building. Ryan, the homie Maddie, always coming through, man. Yeah, he is. Yes, I'm sorry for the tardiness there. I see the comment. I was about 10 minutes late. Reasons behind that, but we're here now. We are here now. Who else is catching Succession Barry back to back? Yeah, it's a great handoff, but I put my 2 cents in it. I wish we could have got Barry after the show ended, but it is a great time to be a fan of both shows. What's up, Zia? We got Kay in the building. So yeah, man, I really do appreciate y'all. It's always great to see these same names popping up, new names popping up. I really do appreciate y'all, man. Yes, I was a little I was a little bit behind. I see a couple comments there, but we're here now. We are here now. And again, hit that like button, y'all. Yes, thank you, voice. Hit that like button, hit the share button, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, man. We have some good stuff cooking over here. So another thing too, I will mention, I might have a guest. As you guys know, if you've been watching this last 4 weeks or 5 weeks now, I've been doing this solo dolo, and it's been awesome doing that with you all, having the interaction. But someone reached out to me that might join. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll see. We'll see. But if not, we're here. We're going to get it on. We're going to have a good time talking about this episode. So, with that being said, before we get into it, let me know who, and we'll obviously talk about it at the end of the episode, but I'm just curious, what was your who was your MVP tonight? I'm just very curious for all 70 of you all watching tonight live. Who was tonight's MVP? I'll share mine once we get to that point of the review, but I'm just curious off top, just a little light question for you all after watching this episode. Who was your MVP? Very, very curious. I might have a co-MVP now I'm thinking about it, but I'll share my list, my MVPs a little bit later. But go ahead and start to put that in the chat, and I'll read them off, and then I'm kind of stalling right now. I'm trying to get the episode loaded up while we get that. But let me see. Shiv, I got some thoughts on Shiv. Michelle, yes, Shiv. Let's see. Shiv, Madsen, MVP Roman. Yeah, got some good names, man. Some great moments by everyone tonight. Y'all know how I feel about my boy Ken. I'll talk about him tonight. But don't sleep on Greg. Don't sleep on Greg the Egg. He came through and is making some moves himself, man. Did he throw Tom under the bus tonight? I don't know. We'll get into that scene. And the Quad Squad, the fam. And I love Shiv's response. I need someone to make me shirts of all these great quotes. The squad and Shiv's response to that. Oh my goodness, man. But we'll get into that. But it looks like a lot of you all had Shiv. We got Rome. We got Manson. So yeah, you guys this is why I rock with y'all, man. We're on the same wavelength. Those are some names that might make my list when we get to my portion of that. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's just jump right into our discussion here. So, and if you guys know, I always like to break these up into my reviews that I put up Monday morning. So don't mind me while I do my intro. With that being said, what's up to all my Succession fans out there? Elliot here from MovieFiles, back with our discussion on the latest episode of Succession. I'm currently live. We have a good time. So join us one of these Sundays. I'm going to leave the link to the full live version of this breakdown in the description of this video. But right now, we're breaking down episode 5 titled Kill List. Man, what an exciting episode. I'm talking, I said it when we started this video in the live stream, Alexander Skarsgård, he is a force of nature. He's not this guy, over here. He's not quite to the Logan stature of like the villainous aspect, but he brings this intensity and this gravitas and this mean nature to the show that I just love. And I had a good time with him tonight. And we'll talk about his affairs and blood sending off to his ex-girlfriend, some messy stuff there, but the Shiv, all of it all, Shiv's the little puppet master behind the scene. I'm loving it. We will be talking about that, and Rome and Ken leaving her out of the dark and making deals without her. Speaking of Rome, if you watched my breakdown last week, I knew the pre-grieving Rome, I'm okay. I knew it was going to come out eventually. And it came out at the kind of a wrong time. You don't mix business with pleasure. And we'll talk about Rome tonight. And we'll get to that kill list. We got to say goodbye to some characters that we'll get to tonight. But hey, before we get into discussion, hit the thumbs up, share, leave your thoughts in the comments. Who was your MVP of the night? What was your favorite moment? Your funniest line? Go ahead and put that in the comments, and let's have a discussion in the comments below. So with all that being said, let's get into the breakdown, man. Let's kind of break it down as we do every single week, scene by scene. And I want to start off with, if you've been watching my breakdowns, have been watching these discussions, y'all know who my boy is, and that is Kenny Ken. And I love this opening scene because it's such a great callback to season 1, episode 1. I can't remember the song he was listening to in season 1, episode 1, but I do know Hove. I do know Hove was in the car, and it's a takeover, baby. I love that callback because this is the Ken that I rock with. Sad puppy, tear-eyed Ken, in his feelings. Ken is a character. Sure, it brings some dynamic nature to the character. We get into his head when he's in a bad space, but I like when Ken is rocking and rolling and taking things over, y'all. So I love this swagger that he's coming off with as we open the episode because it brings me back to those earlier days. And like I said, when Ken is in control, when Ken isn't relying on drugs and alcohol and having his dad beat him up every single day, and when he's focused, he can be that killer. We talked about it last week with that decision about using the bad news and having that be out there to the press. He has it in him, but now he's really starting to lean more into the Killer Ken, the Logan 2.0. And like I said, I'm here for it, y'all. I always love Ken, having a good time, man. But speaking of Ken, again, this whole kind of not new persona, but his swagger, getting his swagger back. When we meet this new, as they say, the new manpower, we get our first F off from Ken, right? As this new Logan 2.0. And I kind of love that whole side of him again. Again, he has his sauce back. He's cooking, y'all. And we haven't been back in the office. We've been in the ATM. We saw the behind the scenes there, but we haven't been back in the headquarters and in the main offices of Waystar. And again, this episode, the first 2-3 minutes, it just brought me back to those old school vibes of Succession and just being in the bullpen as Ken is back in the office and everyone's cheering and applause. The crowd goes, wow, Ken. I love it, man. But then we and something that the show has done, it's been 2 weeks since Logan has passed on, and we still feel his looming presence. And I love the shot where Ken's walking into the office again. Everyone's cheering him on, but we pan over to Logan's office. It's an empty chair. It's an empty office. Who's going to fill that void? And we'll talk about potentially Mr. Madsen filling that for the rest of the season, as well as Ken and that dynamic that we'll get into. But again, this opening sequence to me was just so much fun. Ken welcome in to claps. He's sitting down talking to his brother. And again, we have his A-team. And I don't want to skip over this because I'm a fan of Roman, but he's always been the non-serious, unprofessional, doesn't seem to have a path, doesn't really seem to fit into the business scheme of what they're trying to do with Waystar. But as we've really kind of went along in this show, especially last season and especially this season, he really wants to do his dad proud. He really wants to reserve Logan's legacy. And we'll talk about that a little bit later with the whole ATN getting involved into the deal. But I really appreciated the progression, the growth that we're seeing from Roman and seeing him. Number one, he's in the office before Ken. I mean, that's a rarity. Y'all remember when young Roman in season 1 was just kind of laid and having his coat. I mean, he wasn't serious about his business. But again, I think that Roman is starting to realize, again, unfortunately, his dad saw some of that progression, but now he's really leaning into being serious. And because, again, going back to, what was it, episode 2 of the season, when Logan tells him, I love y'all, but you're not serious people. I think Roman took that to heart. And we see that, again, not only from the last few episodes, but we definitely see that in tonight, especially when Luke was coming at their dad. So I really want to give a quick props to Roman. And I'll be talking about him a little bit later because he has some of my favorite scenes. But we have the old guard coming in. They arrive, and they're like, I feel so bad for the old guard sometimes. They are just, they're old news, man. And they're just looking for work. They just want to help out the kids, right? They're coming into the office, and I love Roman so much. And Ken, they're coming in there like, hey, guys, I know you guys are going to be meeting with, you got the deal going on, and you guys are new CEOs and COOs. So is there anything we could do, right? I love Roman just pushing them off like, no, we got this, old people. But this is where things kind of shake down. This is where we really get the feeling, the looming nature. And I'll talk about, I put it in my notes later. I feel like we were, for any Star Wars fans, I feel like we were meeting the Emperor, Palpatine. So we find out that Lucas is kind of throwing in this curveball as far as major moves. He wants them to head over to Norway. He has this list of names that will be on the chopping block, and we'll share that list a little bit later. But right now, the old guard is saying, well, if he's giving out names, he's making acquisitions, he's making moves, this is good for the deal. So this is a good thing, right? Or is it his way out of the deal? We'll get to Madsen later, but time to get everything going, has to get the deal rolling, and we have to head over to Norway. But I do want to bring up, we see there's a couple scenes of Shiv tonight that I might be looking too much into it. But when Shiv kind of comes in, by the way, she wasn't really informed with all that. We have a scene where Shiv she looks at Frank and she's like, can you submit a list, Frank? Oh, I thought I CC'd everyone on there. Again, I want y'all to pay attention to Shiv in this episode because this goes back to when she told her brothers, don't screw me over, put that on dad, right? And she doesn't know all the moves they've been doing, but she's smart. She's reading the room. She knows what's going on, man. Shiv, she's about that life. She notices the energy in the room and just notices her throughout this episode. Her brothers are constantly leaving her out of the loop. Ken flat out lies to her a little bit later in this episode, But Shiv, she is making moves, y'all. And at first, when they're mentioning that they have to go to Norway, there was a look she gave before we cut into the one of the best intros of any TV show of all time. I thought there was some reservation, and there is some reservation from Shiv a little bit later. The baby of it all. I thought that she was maybe nervous that she had to go out of the country because, listen, I've never had a kid. Hopefully one day, knock on wood, we'll see what the future holds. But I thought that she was kind of nervous because maybe the doctor told her because she's 20 weeks late or 20 weeks pregnant from when we learned last week. So I was like, wait, is she like, maybe she can't go because the doctor said you can't be doing like major traveling and all that stuff. So, but that is not the case because obviously she was able to go, but she didn't take some a little motivation that Lucas gave her a little bit later in the episode. And I'm still waiting for that moment when she tells people she's pregnant. Like, who knows besides her doctor? Clearly doesn't seem like Tom knows, and clearly the brothers don't know. So I'm very excited to see that ball drop eventually and when the baby gets mentioned. But that is the opening scene, man. And I was locked in. I was ready to go. And that was just the tip of the iceberg. So before we move on, let me check in with our live audience here, see what you guys were thinking about our opening sequence. My boy Ken getting his swagger back. The whole idea of going to Norway and the A-team and Shiv making moves pretty early. And not necessarily making moves, but reading the situation and noticing that her brothers are kind of leaving her out of the loop. It's already begun because she's not getting emails, she's not getting CC, she's not keeping up on. They're not keeping her in the loop on things. So let me know how you guys feel about that. Let me check in with the live chat. And again, we got over 127 you all. Again, you all are dope. You all are awesome. I appreciate you having a good time. If you appreciate me being here with you all, hit that like button, man. Hit the like button. It means a lot. Share. Leave your thoughts in the comments as well as the live chat, and subscribe if you're here and if you keep coming. If you haven't subscribed, what you doing? Hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate it, y'all. As we're almost knocking on the door to 50K. So once we do that, your boy's gonna retire. I'm gonna sell MovieFiles to like a Luke man. No, I'm joking, but let me see what you guys are talking about here. My man Jose saying Craig's definitely moving into the eventual. Listen, man, I've been telling y'all, egg, Craig the egg. If someone does not sleep on, definitely Shiv. Oh, this was the MVP comments. Gotcha. Greg secured a spot. Yeah, we'll get to Greg making his moves with his ex-wife or soon to be ex-wife, if that even happens. Greg making moves for sure. Oh yeah, we'll get to the quad squad. Oh man, I can't wait to get to that scene. I love Greg so much. Greg, the critical four. Yeah, he's just throwing himself in the mix. The 3 siblings and throwing the cousin. I love it. What is Mia saying? Mila, I watch again Succession since season 1 5 times now. Last week, each time I have a new ways of how I look at them, and now I like Shiv quite a lot, actually. So yeah, man, Shiv, she has her moments, right? All these characters have their moments when you're like in love with them, you hate them, you can't stand them. But yeah, man, I think Sarah Snook is just such a phenomenal actress, and her comedic time is fantastic, but I love just the nuances that she has. She doesn't have to get to a level 10 to really evoke her emotions. I just think she's fantastic. So I haven't watched season 1 as many times as you have, but it is definitely, I would imagine on my rewatch, once the show ends, you're going to pick up so many different things from these characters throughout the seasons. Yes, he is. He's goofy, but he's learning, man. He's learning. I hope Greg, though. He did tonight, man. We'll get to that scene for sure. What's up, Kevin? Ken MVP gave 2. That's 18. Yeah. He doesn't. I mentioned it earlier, Kev. Roman's the only one right now that really cares about his father legacy in that sense, and Ken really doesn't give 2, as you just mentioned, about that. So definitely agree with you there. Also, Roman, quite a great deal. Yeah, Roman's great. They're all great, man. They're all fantastic, aren't they? Don't sleep on Roman and Greg. They do something big by the end of the season. Roman and Greg, Roman and Greg. That's a pairing we really haven't seen too much of, and I like it. I like it a lot. I like where your head's at, L. Shout out to you. Let's see. Voice. Again, we're on YouTube, so I can't use profanity without, I don't want to get demonetized. I said it earlier. That line was so funny, and I would buy a T-shirt with that, with the quad squad, and on the back, as you put here, and I literally just said how Sarah, her comedic timing is perfect, and her accent is. I don't know if you all know, she's like Australian or something. Her accent is phenomenal. That line, this is another reason I was like 10 minutes late. I replayed that scene probably like 10 times because it was so goddamn funny. When the way she said it, and obviously Greg, and we'll talk about the scene when we get there because it's one of the funniest scenes to me. My comedy is just so obscure. Like, I love subtle comedy. When he said that and her immediate reaction, you said it perfectly, voice. So yes, that scene had me die. It was so many scenes, so many quotes, and so many lines in this episode that, again, the reason I was running a little bit late tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I was watching watching these scenes and just laughing my ass off. Let's see. She's actually still pregnant. Oh, you talking about Shiv drinking with me? Yeah, that was a moment. Oh man, I wonder if Craig is on the list. Well, we got the list. We definitely heard the list tonight. And I wrote down the names, but he wasn't on it so far. I don't know, El. I really don't know why Shiv hasn't told Tom that she's pregnant yet. Maybe because, again, her trust was so broken by Tom last season with him telling Logan about their plan they were going to do. And I think she just really doesn't trust him right now. So, but still, I mean, that's if indeed he is. We talked about it last week. If he is even the father, maybe that's why she hasn't told him, because I still think that that's a possibility. And not necessarily like she had, another man got her pregnant, but she could have just, I don't know the proper medical terms that coming to mind right now, but she could have just had, done it medically or science, with when you freeze your eggs and you use someone else's goods to have a baby. So maybe maybe she did that. Maybe she didn't want to have a kid with Tom, and I don't know, man. So, but yeah, I'm very curious on who's the first person who's going to learn, besides her obviously showing when she is, when she's going to be showing. She's going to be showing pretty soon. Again, for all my parents out there, isn't it 4, 5? I know everyone's body is different, but isn't there on that 4, 5, 6 month mark is when you start the show? So she's going to be showing pretty soon. So it ain't gonna be a secret unless she's wearing like super heavy, coats and all that stuff. But I'm sure she's not. But I don't know. That's a great question though. But let's get back into the conversation and about tonight's breakdown. And you guys are great, man. Again, you guys bring up some great points and some good stuff. So I really appreciate y'all. So let's get to our moment here and getting back into the conversation. We're heading on a plane and we see again Tom and Greg are hilarious, but also shout out to Hugo, man. He has some great comedic moments in this episode as well, with the whole skiing guy and when he finds out he's on the list. So Hugo was pretty funny tonight. But Hugo lets Greg know this isn't party central, Greg. We actually have to do some business today because this is where Manson's going to pick and choose who he likes and doesn't like, and they're going to do the kill list situation, which we'll get into. But we get a moment that I thought was very subtle, but was still very impactful at the same time, because, I didn't even really, yes, these people are, beyond rich, but, there's only a certain amount of toys you can have when you are in that upper tax bracket. And, when it comes to their private plane, they only have one. Well, they might have one or two, but one of them is the one that their dad died in. And you can see, I don't know if you guys noticed it, number one, when Frank and Carl are putting their socks on, I can't remember the exact line, but it was a mention of Logan not having his socks on or something like that in the plane and all that. So I think that was something to call back to Logan's death. But more importantly, you see Rome, he looks back in that same spot where his dad died. They're on the same plane. So that is unsettling, right? And it's something that is brought up a little bit later with Roman, and Lucas being insensitive about their father dying. But I'm like, ooh, that gives me the heebie-jeebies. Literally, again, I think we forget that this show is like they're following the timeline as it's going on. So this is like, 2 days? Yeah, episode 3. So this is 2 days ago that their father died on this same plane, and they still have to get business done, man. So, man, I don't know if I would have been able to get on that plane. But as we move forward, we see, again, Shiv is brought into the mix. And again, I want y'all to pay attention to her because she's she's recognizing games. She's not calling them out, but she's very aware of what they're doing. And I will say this, something that this show, how do I put this? Sometimes this show drops like big moments and they don't really, and this, you guys know I love this show, but sometimes they drop big nuggets and they don't have like real like earnest payoffs. I thought, and who knows, they might bring it back up, but in this scene here with the siblings, they're all on an airplane. We got Rome and Ken pretending to be busy, trying to be CEOs and COOs. And Shiv brings up that the news is starting to funnel out, that she found some news about their dad being out there, and Ken's acting stupid. He's like, oh, it's part of the course. Our dad died. It's going to probably be the TMZs of the world, really trying to put him in a negative light. And Rome doesn't make anything of it. He kind of looks at Shiv, and Shiv kind of makes sense. You can see she kind of makes a face, but I thought his decision of doing that, putting dad's name out there, obviously they don't know that. He told Hugo to put that bird out there, but I thought that was, and again, it might be paid off later, but I thought that this would have been addressed in this episode. Like, wait a minute, this information that's being put out there, that's leaked out there, this is the conversation that Carolina and Hugo had with them. So again, I found it kind of odd that they didn't fully address that. And again, we still got 4 episodes left or 5 episodes left. So that might come to light that Ken did that, especially now with Hugo not being in the mix. He might throw some people on the bus, Ken being one of them. But I don't know. Let me know if you guys felt that moment should have been paid off a little bit further and maybe addressed or confronted, or do you guys think that that's still something that they're gonna bring back up, is that Ken did go ahead and throw their dad name under the bus with his death and making the kids look better, as it was mentioned in last week's episode? Let me know what you guys thought about that. But as we kind of move forward, I got a good laugh out of this, seeing the old guard kind of having a conversation about Madsen's team, and they're younger, they're more useful. There's some athletes in the mix, and I love this line. I wrote it down, where Jerry is trying to pick up everyone's morale on the plane, and she says the line here. Let me bring up Miss Jerry, who's still on the team, by the way, which is a good move by Madsen, but also a good move by Shiv, because she was the one that recommended them. Jerry reminds them that they're wolves and they're cut from that same cloth under Logan. And I love the line by Hugo, we're snakes on the plane. But again, it's something to notice that Jerry and Carolina, even prior to Shiv giving, Lucas the kind of like, Jerry's good, Carolina's good. She doesn't say anything about, Frank or Carl, who ends up making the list. But even prior to that, their demeanor, to me, if I secretly had a camera on the plane or was secretly getting some insight on who I should keep and who I should go, they're more calm, cool, and collective, more so than Carl, Frank, and Hugo. They're like on their nerves, and they're kind of like, ooh, what's going to happen? I'm going to, get fired, whatnot. So it was something subtle, but it was something that I appreciated, how calm they were versus how opposite Hugo and Carl and Frank were during the scene. So it was definitely something I appreciated. And, the strongest survive. But they touch down, and man, there's so many places I want to go on a bucket list type of situation. Norway is absolutely beautiful. I love the cinematography and just the scenery and everything that we got from a technical standpoint. And then we all obviously know the show is really, they capture realness and they capture, everyday life very beautifully. But Norway is just so gorgeous to look at, but they're not there for, sightseeing. They're there to take care of business. But I couldn't help to feel like it was, I don't know if you guys have ever seen The Menu. Came out last year, really solid film. I think it's, tad bit overrated, but that's another conversation for another day. But I felt like it was just very unsettling as they're kind of coming to the lion's den, as they're going to Lucas's place, and he puts them in their rooms. And again, they come across his team. It was just very, my notes, it felt very like he was the emperor, that they were going to go see Palpatine, especially when they were on that lift and they were going up to his, his headquarters. I don't know. It's just, I really like how this show is using Lucas Manson as like this newer Logan-ish type of character, where he's brash, can be rude, he says some very insensitive things. He also has that new blood in him, kind of like Roman, where he can throw those jokes at you bar for bar and make you really feel pretty small. So again, I love Alexander Skarsgård, and I really do wish, obviously we can't go back, but I really do wish that he was more involved in the show prior to Logan dying, especially with him the energy that we got from him, and when we did have those scenes with Logan. So I thought that he was just great. And again, I love how they set him up like the big bad. But let's talk about Connor. He doesn't have a lot to do, and I always talk about it. I always feel like Connor, the show, I think it's somewhat intentional that he is kind of the forgotten son, but I also think that the show really hasn't defined him besides just being the butt of the joke. That's just my opinion on Connor. Not the biggest fan of him, and not the actor, obviously, but just how they use Connor is just kind of like, oh, let's throw in a Connor joke here. It's, kind of situation, not really have like any meat to the character besides him having his moment a couple weeks ago with him mentioning his superpower is not having love. But neither here nor there. The Connor of it all is we see him calling Roman and lets them know that I guess Marsha is dealing with the funeral arrangements and she wants to put a kilt on Logan. And he's just calling them to let them to get the approval that he has full, control of the situation, which is, again, that's only thing that we get from him. This is the only scene that we see with Connor. And then a little bit later in the episode, when he sends Roman a picture of Logan as they're preparing him for the funeral. But I don't know, guys. I keep talking about, I don't know what the show's going to do with Connor. I really hope that they don't just like out of the left, I don't want to say out of left field, but I hope that they don't just make him the president just for the sake of like, he's the throwaway kid and we're going to give him the presidency. I'm very curious on what they're going to do with him. I don't know. I just feel like every time we check in with him, is meant just to be kind of comedic use. And again, it is funny. And, Alec plays it really well, but I just wish that there was a lot more to do with Connor and not just have him be the butt of the joke. But I don't know. Let me know how you guys feel about Connor and what the show could potentially do with him for the remaining of this season, besides just having him be Mr. Funny Guy. But I did get a good time. I did get a kick out of seeing the old guard interacting with Manson's team, and they're like, kind of more, I don't want to say more refined, but they are, they're younger. That's for damn sure. And they're almost kind of like the younger Swedish versions of the old guard. Carolina is talking to Manson's, who we find out his ex-girlfriend, I believe her name was Emma, if I'm not mistaken. She's interacting with him. Tom's interacting with Madison's kind of right-hand man. Hugo's talking to a guy who used to be in the Olympics. I just thought that scene was so funny, especially when they're eating their food. And, we have Tom saying, oh, smart guys, just eat on up for they can belly you up before they kill you. I don't know. I just found that whole dynamic of the old guard meeting a younger version of themselves to be really, really funny. But before we get into the actual first conversation between the kids, or more or less between Ken, Rome, and Manson, let me check in with you guys and see how you're feeling about the episode this far, see what we got in the comment section. Again, for all 156 of you all, thank you joining me on this Sunday night. You can be watching this episode again. You could be watching Barry, which was a great episode. Watch my review after we're done talking about this. You could be watching, I don't know, Ghosted, which is on Apple TV Plus, but you're here with me. And I appreciate y'all. NBA finals, or not the finals, but I think the playoffs tonight's a team still playing. So you could have been doing anything, but you're here with your boy. And I really appreciate y'all. And if you appreciate this fun time, this community, these conversations, hit the thumbs up, hit the share button, leave your thoughts in the comments, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. So let's see what you guys were talking about here in the comment section before we get back into it. Yeah, Nate. And what's up, Nate? I'm glad to see your name. I always love seeing you in the chat, my friend. Shiv paying attention to everything. Yeah, her brothers are underestimating her. Yes, man. And I really appreciate that because they are screwing her over. They literally made a pact yesterday. I mean, it wasn't a blood pact, but it was an understanding. We've bonded over losing our father. And they were even bonding prior to that with them starting the whole Hundreds Company and buying Pierce and doing all this stuff. They were on the same page. I love to see it. But now Kendall, who's my boy, got a little power. Rome tagging along with Big Brother, and they're leaving sis out, man. And it's annoying. So I love that Shiv is like, all right, I see y'all. Cool, y'all. That's how y'all moving. All right, bet. So I appreciate Shiv and how she's moving tonight, man. So I definitely agree with you there. What's Elle talking about? What's up with the? Yeah. So I think it just listen. I'm not a doctor. We've talked some medical things tonight with how you can get a woman pregnant without, I can't think of the word, but there's some medical stuff that we can talk about tonight. But I think with compression socks, I think when you're traveling at high altitude, that is probably good for you to, to keep your blood pressure at a reasonable rate, to kind of keep things from not happening to you in the air, especially at an older age. So I think that's what the compression socks moment was with Frank and Carl, but I could be wrong because again, I'm not a doctor. So, but that's how I took it. And like I said, they were on the plane, so like they were like, hell, last time he was here, Logan died. He's our age, so we need to take any safety precautions as possible. Yeah, her acting is always great. Her acting is always fantastic. There it is. So I think we got some doctors in the house. Oh, got compression socks. Nice touch. Compression socks. Exactly. Thank you. Blood flow around the ankles. I don't know how much it helped, but not. Yeah. That's what I figured, Maddie. So, and then blood clot. Yeah, you guys watch a good amount of any medical shows out there. I think she realized Kendall bad news. I think so too. I don't think she was smart about it. She didn't confront it. She kept it in her back pocket, in her memory bank, and used that as fuel for moves she's making a little bit later. So yeah. Shiv has always been set up as an unlikable punching bag for the fans this season. So let me read the rest of your comment. But this episode was her redemption moment. I agree with your first part. For some reason, I know I'm not one of those people, but I know there's people, and rightfully so, because the show kind of writes her that way, where she is unlikable at points. But I always like what Shiv has brought to the table, even when she has done terrible things, like telling her husband on the night of their wedding that she wants to have an open relationship, and all the other things she's done with Nate in the past and all that stuff. So she definitely has been on my nerves, but I just love Sarah's performance, and I love what Shiv is able, how she maneuvers and how she handles herself. So I do appreciate her having some key moments so far tonight, especially after last week, kind of getting the pie thrown in her face, or being caught off guard with her and her brothers leaving her out of that, the three, the big three situation, just the two of them, and then her falling and feeling embarrassed. So it was a nice moment for her to kind of pick herself up literally from falling last week to this week. So I appreciate it. As you mentioned, the kind of redemption moment she has tonight for sure. Maddie's saying you guys have been low-key great to see. He's had more to do, right? It seems like the old guard has always been like, the show is always mostly focused on Jerry. And then, of course, you get Frank every now and then, and Carl has a one-liner every now and then. But they've really allowed the old guard to be a little bit more integral to this season, and they haven't dropped the ball. They've delivered for sure. Let's see here. Okay, so this goes back to my question about them not addressing Kendall potentially throwing their dad on the bus. The bad news might come back, but Ken did tell Hugo to keep it on the low, so it didn't seem like a big deal. That's true, Nate, but I would think Siobhan and Roman, and you know what, Nate, I think they probably knew, and I think that they might want to just see their brother crash and burn, man, and go behind their back. All right, man, we'll see how it comes back, because what is done in the light normally comes to what is done in the dark normally comes to the light. So they might have known and just didn't want to address it, but I do hope it has a payoff, because it was, as we talked about last week, it was such a big moment for him to be that killer and to make that move. Excuse me. So I do hope that it does have a payoff and not just brush under the rug, because it was a big moment. Beautifully shot. Oh, yeah. Like I said, this show is always gorgeous to look at for sure. What's up, Skylar? Hope you're doing well, man. I always love seeing your name in the chat. And I hope you had a great weekend, man. And I hope you all had a great weekend in that matter. Skylar, the writer, says, it's definitely coming back, but coming back up. The Kendall sold his dad reputation behind there. But I hope so, Skylar. I really do, because there are moments in the show that they have had these kind of mic drop moments, not so much like at the end of the episode like they did last week, but there have been quite a few occasions where the show kind of drops a nuclear bomb and it never has any ramifications, to the extent that the show kind of sets it up to be, like the relations between the siblings. There's been moments where, Shiv and Ken and Rome, they've all stabbed each other in the back a couple times, and we really never seen them like fully address certain things that they've done to each other. So I do hope you guys are right that they do address this before the end of the season, because that was, a move that he did behind their backs. I had some Palpatine stuff vibes tonight, man. And was definitely, let's see here. Let's see. Didn't Shiv do bumps? I don't think so. We're gonna talk about this scene later. I think she smart. I don't know if you guys ever been to any parties, or especially when we were younger, and you might not be into drinking or smoking, and someone hands you a beer, hands you, a little something, and you just casually talking, you just, lightly pretend like, oh yeah, yeah, like but you don't really take a sip, or you don't really take a hit. You just kind of play it off because it might not be your vibe, right? So I think she played it off that way, and we'll break down that scene a little bit later where she took the drugs, but she didn't, sniff anything, or Sunny in Philadelphia fans ripe around your gums like D did. So yeah, she didn't take a bump because we obviously know why, because she's pregnant. Connor, what's Skyler say? Yeah, I feel the same way about Connor. They don't, they really yeah, that's what I feel, man. And again, the scapegoat that's the character. Literally, Connor is the redheaded forgotten son that, oh yeah, dad has, had another kid with a girl or with a woman that was in a nut house. So it does play to that aspect, but you could still write the character a little bit better in the sense of they could be more in the forefront. But again, it's already 4 seasons in, and Connor's always been that forgotten son. So we'll see what they'll do with them. I don't think much besides. I really don't. We'll see. We'll see. Manson has hippie presence and glimpse. Yeah, man, we'll get into Manson here when we get back into the discussion. But yeah, he really he was great. He was great. Yeah, he is. He's so out of touch too, man. He with the moment where he sent his brother. I mean, that was weird, sending him the pictures, but I guess he just wanted to make sure everything was going good and get the approval. Let's see. Okay, we got some medical information. Shout out to Liv saying my mom is a flight attendant and she says compression socks are the only reason she's able to work long hours. Gotcha. Makes sense. So yeah, I mean, we're if we're lucky enough to get to to our parents' age, we gonna have to be rocking those compression socks one day, So yeah, shout out to your mom. Side note, I've always wanted to be like a flight attendant, like many years ago, because just to get to travel and all that stuff. But that's pretty cool. Your mom sounds like a cool person. Kendall got a little too much drip and dip sometimes. Damn, yeah. Kendall is that's my boy. Oh, you didn't like Karen said she didn't like Shiv for the first 2 seasons. I get that. All right, y'all. Good stuff. Keep it coming. Can E talk about the dude sitting in his blood? I will get to that when we get there, my friend, because that was weird. That's like some Angelina Jolie and her brother when they were wearing each other's blood on their neck. I don't know, some weird Hollywood stuff, man. People are weird, bro. I will definitely. I have it in my notes. We will get to that, my friend. But let's get back into the discussion and get into the conversation at hand about Manson really kind of pressing our team, man. Let's see here. Let me get back to the actual screen and get into the discussion. All right. Let me see. Let me get to the scene here where Manson is caught by surprise, I guess. Solo dolo, like we're doing tonight. All right, y'all. So let's get back into the discussion. So at this point in the episode, again, Palpatine himself, not being funny, but being funny. I mean, he has the hood on, right? I wish I should pull up a picture of Palpatine with if you're not a Star Wars fan, I'll put it up on the screen now, but for the breakdown. But he comes out looking very Palpatine-ish with his hood on. And he's like, oh, wow, you guys brought the whole team, the whole squad. I think he even says, you brought the whole village elders with you this time around, right? And then he throws in his little jabs and he says to Shiv, oh, if I hug you, would I get sued? And I love their banter. And we'll talk about Shiv and Lucas a little bit later. Their chemistry on screen, because we really didn't see her interact with Manson so much last season. I don't even know if they've even shared they might have shared like a collective scene with the other cast members, but I don't know if they've ever had like a one-on-one like they did tonight. Their chemistry was off the charts. We'll get to that. But, he makes his little jokes there, but eventually he says, it's just me. And let's just go ahead and talk chop in the back, boys. And he's referring to Ken in Rome. And again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it is not to be forgotten that they were like, yeah, all right, we'll go ahead and chop shop. And you know who was left out of that conversation? Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but look at the face here. Look at the screenshot, ladies and gentlemen. It's Shiv. How many? I've lost count. How many times has Shiv been left out of the situation in this episode so far? Airplane scene, the office scene. She wasn't CC'd on the email. She wasn't up to date about the dad being thrown on the bus. And now we have it again. She was left out of the conversation. Keep tally, keep notes. Shiv's definitely keeping notes. I'll tell you that much. So, man, yes, y'all. We'll get to Shiv and her comeback, but let's get into the conversation. So we see Manson takes Kendall and takes Rome into his little private areas, luxurious rooms and whatnot. And I love, again, Ken is really, I want you guys to pay attention to this scene here because I talked about it earlier. Ken just wants to sell. He just wants to be the shark. He wants to be the killer. He just wants to he wants to make his own name, right? He wants to get from his father's shadow and be his own man. I can't say the same about Rome. Rome is the only one right now because Lucas is playing bully ball right now. He's I don't know if there's any basketball fans, but he's in the paint and he ain't, he's the Joker right now. He's Embiid. He's playing hard in the paint, throwing jabs at them left and right. But Ken isn't falling for it. But notice that Rome is definitely falling for it as far as like the little jabs at his dad and all that stuff. And we'll get to the ATM of it all. But it was also a moment too. I don't want to leave out a kind of a little small character beat that we get from Manson in the way Alexander Skarsgård plays it. The kind of they all have, listen, all these characters have dad issues, right? There's a line where he tells them that he lost his dad, right? And I don't think that was not on purpose that he brought up the Logan of it all. He tells them that his dad passed away in a very dark way in a BMW and took his own life. And he kind of throws in his line and they're like, okay, I'm sorry to hear your loss. So they actually don't say that. And he is the one that brings it up and says that, oh, you guys don't have any sympathy for poor Lucas? And they're like, oh, we're sorry to hear about your dad. It's like, oh, it's not a competition. That's not a throwaway line. He's constantly throughout this episode taking digs at them, and he's making it more and more personal and trying to get under their skin. And this is why I love this character, because he's manipulative. He is very much so doing these type of Logan moves and taking these deep cuts at them. And, again, Ken doesn't take the bait, but Roman definitely does by the end of this episode. But again, I just wanted to point that out, that they all seem to have like daddy issues, but also him throwing in the dad thing of him losing his dad, then making it not a competition about who's lost their dads. I see you, Lucas. Again, very, very, he's a dark guy. And I'm seeing these moves. But speaking of moves, let's talk shop. Now, I'm not a business expert or stock expert, but they're throwing out some big numbers there, right? And we learn in this moment here, again, Lucas, he's doing it smart because he's making it personal, but then he can also throw in the business savvy. He can talk the lingo, right? He brings up the facts that, hey, since your dad died, stocks have been down, I think it was 20%. They throw in Ken being a smart businessman himself. Well, they're up 10% since Monday. They're just throwing facts at each other. But then, and then Ken says, our dad was never going to be a part of the future, this, that, and the other. Again, I want y'all to notice that Ken's the only one that keeps kind of throwing I don't want to say that their dad under their bus, but he doesn't want to be under that legacy. He doesn't want to be in that shadow. So he brings that up. And the deal at the table before Logan died was 144, I believe, was the number that they had at hand. But now he's trying to, as you should, any business people out there, you should definitely negotiate as often as you can. But he feels like the product that he's buying is not what it was valued yesterday's price, right? And then he kind of throws them off by saying, I'll buy everything for $1. And they, for a second there, again, Kendall was kind of cool, calm, and collected, but Roman was kind of rattled. You can see Roman was very rattled at this point in the episode and throughout this episode for sure. He's joking with them, but then he says, all right, let's get serious. I want ATN to be back on the table. So that was off the table when Logan was alive. And we remember him in episode 2 or episode 3, episode 2 before he died. The whole speech that he had in the bullpen about we're pirates and we're gonna gonna get everything back together. So he wanted to keep that because that's his legacy. And there's another reason why he also wants to keep ATM, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But we go from 144 to then he's saying bring in ATN into the situation, and then his new offer was 187, almost doubles the price. And the reason that's huge is because, number one, again, I bring back Kim was liking that offer. Roman, not so much. For Roman, for different reasons, but the reason why I think it was poor, number one, Roman thought it was a bad idea because this is, again, he wants to preserve his father's legacy. He was the only one that was still in good terms, between Shiv and Ken. We obviously know he was still in cahoots with his father and was gonna probably backstab his siblings if he didn't die. But he really wants, that's what his father built. His father wanted to keep ATN before he died, and he wants to keep that legacy going. But the other reason why it is important, why Logan wanted to keep the news stations, because we all know when you own the media, you control everything, especially with the presidency that we know is going on in the show. So it is a very important for their family to control the media. That's why Logan was so successful for many of his years. Yeah, I think they have like a movie studio, they have theme parks, they have all these things going on. But when you control the media, you control everything because you control the narrative. You control the point of view and the perspective of how people view the president, and I don't want to get too political, because that's not what we're about. Have those conversations because, obviously stuff that bleeds into the reality of the world we live in with media, right? But that's why it's so important for Manson to have that. He wants that control. He wants to be this guy over here to control the narrative. So Manson, man, he's a smart man, but also, again, going back to the kids being smart, that is huge to not give that up. Even though, again, their point of view, why Ken wasn't so like gun-ho on the whole, like, yeah, we can give them ATM. We don't really want it. It's old news, it's not good. But they also have Pierce, right? They still have their hands in the pie because if they complete their acquisition with Pierce, they still have their media that they can control. But again, man, Manson, this guy is great. He's eating up these scenes right now, man. And you got to think about it from, I'm not an actor, but if I were an actor, joining a show like this that's been 4 seasons strong, winning Emmys, Brian Cox, Jeremy Strong, this incredible cast that's just phenomenal in the roles. You're being dropped in. It's essentially, he was almost like a cameo in season 3, and now he's obviously, becoming a little bit more pivotal in the show. That's not an easy feat. That's like being on a, for sports fans, baseball, football, basketball, soccer, hockey, you name the sport. That's like being on a championship team and being free agent or picked up in the middle of the season via a trade or a buyout, and you're expected to be on the starting team, the starting lineup within the first week. That's what Alexander Skarsgård is doing right now. He is being on this incredible show with these great actors with established characters, and he's just dropped in there and he fits like a shoe. He is so great in this show. Again, I really do wish that we would have gotten more scenes with him and Logan, bar for bar, wit for wit, insult from insult. So he's just great, man. Like I said, he fits in like a perfect shoe. So now at this point, the kids are, well, not the kids, but the Ken and Rome are taking this phenomenal news to the old guard and tells them that they have managed to, they didn't really do anything, right? But of course you're going to take that it was your reasons why, you were able to get that double the price up there. But we see that the old guard is like, good job. Even Jerry, because I know Jerry and Rome have their tension right now because he fired her, or at least was trying to, but they're impressed for this bump. And speaking of bump, we're going to talk about Shiv here in a little bit because she went back down to kind of, I would imagine high altitude, or maybe being in this, might not be the safest thing for her and her baby. But let's talk about Siobhan for a second. But actually, before we talk about Siobhan, let me check in and see what you guys are talking about. Let me get the Siobhan set up here because it is a important conversation at hand when they talk to Siobhan. But how you guys feeling about the episode thus far? Let me check in with the live chat. Let me see, what did we last? we leave off that. Okay, here we go. Let me see. All right, we'll go here. Shiv had no problem with drinking while pregnant, so I couldn't. Did she drink in this episode? Did I miss something? Did she take a bottle of champagne or drink some champagne? I don't know. You guys, let me know. I don't remember. I know she didn't. She said no to the drugs, but did she take some champagne tonight? Oh yeah. We'll get to that. Yeah, we just haven't got there yet. Yeah, rich people. Yeah, sending blood to each other. What the hell? What was that? Angelina Jolie when they got married. Oh, okay, well I thought it was her brother, but you're right. Yeah, it was Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton. Such a bully. Skarsgård does a good job. You hate watching him, but I can't take I don't hate watching him at all, Maddie. I love it. I'm a guy that loves good villains. Cersei's and of the world and Joffrey's of the world, like Negan's of the world. I get what you're saying, but I can't. Yeah, I think I love when you get a good villain on the show. Yeah, they definitely have some great chemistry. All right, we got a question here. Question: does Shiv have an actual position at Waystar besides a shareholder or having a board seat? Both Ken and Roman are COOs before Logan died. Yeah, I think that's her only position in the business, is that she does hold. She's a shareholder, from birthright and being part of that family legacy, but she doesn't have like a quote unquote title. It's not as defined as Logan and Roman. There's a lot of popular families out there that are associated with their family business, but don't necessarily have a title, but they do have a say because they have stockholders. But to your question, I don't think she has a defined title to her, especially now with Ken and Rome. They established that she's just kind of not a liaison, but she's kind of the third wheel. But they say that she has, she can be a part of the decision making, but she really isn't. But news in the game making. Yeah, I mean, listen. This was bully ball. Like this was, I'm gonna take advantage of these young putts. They don't know what they're doing. So yeah, he definitely took advantage of them for sure. I just paid that back for my mom. She thinks it's so cool that you're streaming this live. We're rooting for. Oh, that's what's up. Like I said, shout out to your mom. That's awesome. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Let's see. Tiger seeing Roy Cubs can play. Yeah, good verbiage there, Matt. I like it. Okay, my bad. NYC, I'm on the spot. We're live, man. I'm not doing the math, what I'm saying? But yes, it's they almost doubled, but you're right. It wasn't completely doubled. Good call. Thank you for the correction. So true. You own your media. You own your own narrative. Just look at Fox News. It's scary and incredible when you really think about it. It is. It is, Skyler. But yeah, good point, man. The Swedish Jeff Bezos. That's funny. That is funny. Let's see. Showed her brilliance in this episode. 100%. Manson is so manipulative. Oh, hold on, click on it. Manson is so manipulative and hard to read. I think Kendall is probably reading him best, but Shiv is looking to use him. I don't see it working out for her and turns on her brothers. We will put a pin in that, Ashley, because that is a potential partnership that might have been starting tonight. Okay, I might have missed that. She was drinking some brown liquor. She was drinking some bourbon. Okay, I might have missed that part there. But again, I thought it was kind of like with the drugs that she was kind of alluding to it because she doesn't want to put the spotlight on her because she is pregnant. But I don't know. Maybe I missed that. But you guys caught it, so I appreciate you bringing that to the conversation. All right, y'all. So let's get back into our moment. And speaking of Shiv and all that stuff, let's talk about her for a second. Oh, okay. Yes, this was a point that I wanted to bring up here. So let's get back and talking about Shiv here because she's making moves and she's reading the room and she's very suspicious of her brothers tonight. So Shiv tells them after they, try to get the deal done that, Manson wants to bring ATN back into the fold. But speaking of ATN, she lets them know that presidential candidate Macon, he is working in cahoots with ATN. And there's only two people that can make that decision. CEO Ken, COO Roman. And we all know from season 3 that was Roman's guy. That's who Roman wanted to be the president. So this is another example of Shiv bringing to the light her brothers doing her dirty, keeping her out of the loop. Are you guys taking notes at home? What is that? 4 or 5 times that she's been betrayed by them so far and not kept in the loop. She is just, all right, I'll put that there. I'll put that there. She's keeping tally, y'all. So that is yet another example of them trying to get one over on Shiv. And she's just keeping inventory, and she's going to get back on her brothers later in this episode. But as we kind of move on, again, in this conversation, Shiv just wants to get this deal done with because she might have a position at this new owned business with Lucas, but she just wants to sell it. And I love this line. I wrote it down here when they were talking about why the sentimental value of ATN, again, Roman being the one that has this whole idea of his father's legacy. But Shiv says to him, just get rid of it, right? If you want to have sentimental value, she says, just keep his sweater. It's less racist. There were so many lines that was so goddamn well written. I love this so much. But Roman, again, is the only one that wants to keep his dad's legacy. And I think I can't remember if it was Kendall or Roman, but they said, what would Logan have done? I think it was Kendall who said, what would our dad have done in that moment? And, at this point, I'm thinking in my head, well, if they sell off ATN and Shiv's just so like willy-nilly about it, yeah, just get rid of it, right? I'm like, damn, Tom, her husband, he's going to be unemployed. The potential father of your child is going to be losing a job if that happens. But she looked out for Tom, and we'll talk about that scene that they got into it a little bit later. But speaking of Tom, we have Tom and Greg linking up, and Tom wants to see that list. Tom wants to know who's on that list. More importantly, he's looking out for himself. We all know his protector is no longer here. The guy that he decided to go with over his own wife, he is no longer with us. So Tom is trying to get a read on if his name is on that list. So he wants to have, Tom wants to throw Greg on the bus. If things don't look good, he tells Greg to just come over and, I'll just feed you to some lions instead of for myself. And again, we'll talk about what Greg does to him a little bit later. But while that's happening, I got to point out one of the funniest, and we've kind of talked about it a couple times throughout the live stream that we're doing right now, for those that are watching the replay. He goes over to the siblings, and, Tom is, or not Tom, but my boy Greg, man, he's growing. He's getting older. He's getting smarter. The Roy family has definitely rubbed off on him. My boy Greg comes up to them, the Quad Squad, aka the fam. And again, we talked about early Shiv's response, don't want to get demonetized, but her response was just classic. But we see, that line was just so damn funny. But we see while Tom is making his way over to the table to talk to Manson, and Greg is kind of like, hey guys, I don't know if y'all noticed this, but you see what Tom is doing over there? Here, actually, this is a perfect screenshot right here. Actually, look at the person in the background. Who do y'all see? It's Greg. As Tom is just embarrassing himself, he just kind of uninvites himself unannounced to the table. And the first thing he says to Lucas is like, hey, Lucas, you remember me? We at the wedding last year, we like made fun of some guy with some pants or something like that, out of style pants. And he's like, sure, man, what's up? It was just such a funny moment there. And it was just so awkward. And Lucas is just, again, he's so great, man. He's so great at being kind of like a Logan character that he makes you uncomfortable. He makes you unsettled. He makes you question your own existence, and he makes you feel so small in this moment. And he just says the most random stuff too. We'll talk about it here, him sending his blood to his girlfriend, but he throws Tom off and says, hey, Tom, so what do you think about France? Should we get rid of him? And Tom is just completely caught off guard by this remark. And he's, giving his 2 cents of the matter and just failing at doing so. And then, Greg keeps his end in the bargain a little bit. Again, the whole idea was, hey, Greg, if I get egg on my face, I need you to wipe it off and eat it yourself. And he comes up and brings up his political standpoint on how he feels about it and kind of throws Greg on the bus while doing so. And I love that scene. But then again, speaking of loving scenes and loving just some great lines in this episode, they're kind of poking fun. So Lucas he finds out that Greg is actually part of their family. He's like, wait a minute, wait, so you're related? Is this, are all you guys related? He's poking jokes, and he starts speaking in, in his Swedish, and they're just kind of poking fun of him. And again, I love Ken's rebuttals in this episode. It's like, come on, man, you guys are, you're, we've played this game before. What is this, the measuring stick contest? He's like, I think I wrote down the subtitles line. He says, yeah, maybe the line would be funnier if it was if we had subtitles. I love that line, that clap back from Ken in tonight's episode. But this is getting down to the nitty gritty. Again, this is Manson not folding, not showing his belly, not rolling over. They counter. He's like, all right, again, I want you guys to, again, pay attention to Manson. He's controlling the whole thing tonight. He controlled every aspect of tonight's episode. He was the Logan of the situation. Again, Logan said his kids aren't serious people. And Manson kind of proved that tonight. So he's like, yeah, give me your counter right now and then. His terms. Again, I want to remind y'all, where are they at? They're on his land. They're in his den. He controlled this episode, but he tells them, the counter, and that Luke is aware. He says, they do their back and forth. I'm buying, buying the good parts, but a bad brand of it all, right? And he cuts these three so good, like a knife, or at least these two, because he says something to the effect of how ATN is old news, old people fighting over news is not good business, and he wants to revamp it, make it cheap, make it big, all the stuff that, those keywords that you want to have when buying something that big. But when he said that, you notice that Shiv looked at him like, I agree with that, right? There was, again, their friendship, or maybe something even further, we'll see, kind of was cultivated in tonight's episode. So she liked what he was saying for sure. But then he says, because the boys are like, yeah, I don't know if you really know what you're buying. Yeah, I don't really know you know what you're doing. And he tells them that they are just, well, I think he was mostly talking to Roman and talking to Ken, because Shiv wasn't really saying anything. He says, listen, you guys are just a tribute band. You're just the backup team. You're just the B team. And their response kind of caught both of them off guard. It kind of, Ken's on cloud nine since the beginning of this episode. Roman's trying to get his swagger back with his dad recently passing. He's starting to really feel the effects of that. So they're both kind of thrown off, and one's on a high horse, one's in their feelings. That line was so cold, that you guys are just a tribute band. I love that. It's just a reminder that it is 3-on-1 right now, technically speaking, and he's holding his own. This is a Logan type of character right now. He is just really bringing it to him, and I just loved every single second of it, especially, again, when Siobhan is just like, all right, I like this guy. He's saying some things that I like, but that whole "you guys are just a tribute band" was one of my favorite lines for sure. But time to kind of move on to the Asana tradition. For whatever reason, this is what they do. They're trying to, again, just doing their traditions and throwing everyone off. And the old guard's like, what's going on? Carl and Greg are, again, just the old guys about to be booted out. But we have a brief scene where Siobhan and now Lucas are having a little bit of a moment. And this was awkward, right? Am I the only one that thinks this was, especially when we find out who this woman was a little bit later? We kind of understand why every time Lucas was around her, she not ran away, but she did not want to be around him. Reasonably so. We find out why she doesn't want to be around him a little bit later. But we move on, and we see Lucas and Shiv having their one-on-one, and he tries to get a beat from her, tries to get an idea if his 187 is moving the needle. And she kind of tells him, yeah, it's the conversation is open, right? And again, I love their chemistry. But getting to the conversation with these Kendall and Rome about this whole deal, we're going to talk about them blowing it up here. But I want to check in with the live chat. Let me see what you guys are talking about here. Oh, man. This is such a great episode, man. We're going to, so many great moments that we haven't even touched on yet that we're going to get to here. The Skarsgård brothers are incredible. Yeah, they are. It's a really great family. Their dad is great too. Let's see. Did Tom actually hit Siobhan? Oh, did I skip that? Did we get to that scene yet? No, I don't think so. Or did we? I don't think we missed that scene when they were. No, we haven't got to that moment yet. It's a little bit later, but yeah, we'll get. He did hit her. It was definitely funny. Tom did. Yeah, we'll get to that scene. Why did Shiv agree to send that pig? Oh, we'll get there for sure. She's playing another angle, knowing her brothers. Yep. Great stuff. Yeah, great. Yeah, some great lines tonight for sure. Some really great stuff. Skylar, that scene had me dying, man. Like I said, there was so many times I rewinded it because it was just so damn funny. Greg is switching roles on Tom. Yep. Yeah. Yes. And he's smart, man. Student becomes the master. Yes. Let's see. Greg has a clueless confidence because of his family connections, so he's never gonna be. Yeah, he has been, but like I said, he's rubbed off. Tom's kind of taught him too good to be Weasley, and he's definitely rubbing off on him. Lucas is a long gamer, weird fetishes like blood and wanting a photo of the brothers defeated. Yeah, he's. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. When you have that much power, you just do weird stuff because it's just like, you don't live the day-to-day of regular people, Shout out to the homie, a good old friend of the channel who's always showing some love, and I always appreciate seeing your name in the comment section, the live streams. It's the one and only Niecy Smith. What's up, Niecy? Another great episode. Manson is unhinged. Yes, that's a great way to describe him. And he was fantastic. But thank you, Niecy. She's been a part of the channel for so long and always just showing love and support. And I always love seeing your name pop up. So I hope you're doing good. And I appreciate the super chat, Niecy. That would be fantastic. Oh, yeah, man. That line was so great. Can't wait until Manson implodes. Skarsgård is killing this role and still in every scene, which is impressive. Like I said earlier, it's like being a part of a championship team and just being on there, and you're required to be the star player and to have not star player per se, but being like a key role player of the team. And he just does it like it's nothing. Like, this is a big show, man. This is a lot of Emmys, a lot of great actors. And for him to come in here and just fit the way he does it's great, man. So true. Yeah. That was a great moment. Let's see here. Tom hit Shiv. Oh, hell yes. Yeah, we'll get to that, Skylar. I'll pull it up later. I'm pretty sure I haven't skipped it over yet, but yeah, he plucked her in the ears. So yeah, we'll get to that. What do we? I don't even know where the likes are at. 204 people. Let's get those likes up on the stream. Yeah, we got 216 now. And I don't have a YouTube tab pulled up. So yeah, man. Listen. If you're having a good time, if y'all are here like, oh man, I love that I have a place to come to and interact with some other great people about this fantastic show. I really love this. Well, if you do enjoy that, hit the thumbs up, hit the share button, and consider subscribing, man. We talk Succession. I got my Barry review of episode 3 on the channel now. We talk movies and other various shows. So we have a good time over here. So definitely consider subscribing if you haven't. And again, I would appreciate it if you can hit the thumbs up. It's free, y'all. It doesn't cost you a single penny. It doesn't cost you $1, like Lucas said earlier with buying the company. So definitely hit that thumbs up for your boy if you're having a good time, man, because I appreciate y'all. All right, y'all. So let's get back into the convo. And speaking of the conversation, let's talk about this scene here. These two guys, man. Oh, man. They're doing some stuff behind Shiv's back. So this is the conversation at hand. Ken wants to blow up the deal, the whole damn deal, the whole capoot. He doesn't, the ATN, the whole thing. He wants to run it. Him and his brother. He's like, man, we're doing good, man. I want to ride this ship. And Lucas isn't a good fit. He will destroy. Listen, he knows. I think Kendall knows that Roman is kind of in his feeling, that their dad's presence is not filled. He wants to preserve his legacy. I think that he can read that and sees that from his younger brother. So he plays that against them. Again, all these characters manipulate each other. He says, hey, man, he's going to ruin dad's legacy. He's going to ruin everything that dad has built. Kendall doesn't mean that, because this whole show, he's showing us, ATM, sure, get rid of it. He's showing us this whole episode that he doesn't care about his dad. Like, I'm not saying he doesn't care about his dad. Obviously we saw that with these last few episodes, but he's in his own, he's on his high horse, man. He's been, look at the first scene of this episode. He's like, I'm the boss. I'm running this ship now. So he said he uses that against his younger brother. And Ken, kind of works his magic, because I would say Roman seems to be the only one that tends to kind of get easily swayed in most situations when, he was doing his thing with siblings and then his dad was able to rope him back in with not much pushback. Same thing happened last week when Roman was kind of on the fence about Ken being CEO, but then Ken was able to weasel his way into his brother being on his side. And the same thing happens here. He works his magic on his younger brother, and his brother's like, yeah, you're saying stuff I want to hear, that Lucas isn't right. We don't want to ruin Dad's legacy. And he says, yeah, let's blow up this whole damn deal. So again, I see you, Ken. And Roman, man, you got to get that mental fortitude, man. You got to be able to stand up for yourself and not be so easily swayed by your younger siblings all the damn time. But I think he's going to have his pushback by the end of the season. We'll see if this, if I'm being honest with you all, I think this whole bond that him and Ken has had over these last few weeks is going to blow up in Ken's face. Again, y'all know how I feel about Ken. He's my boy. But right now he's doing some things that aren't, it's Logan things. Don't get me wrong. But what happened to Logan? He died in a bathroom by himself without his family around him. And Ken continued to be more and more like his father. I'm not saying he's going to die anytime soon, especially in this show, but I think he's going to push away his family very much so, like Logan did. So again, that apple doesn't fall too far away from the tree. When you stab your family enough, they only take stabbing so many times. So I think Kendall and Rome, this whole, again, this bond that they've had is going to end up working against Ken sooner rather than later. But meanwhile, while this is happening and they're scheming to blow up this deal, what's going on during this time? That's Siobhan and Mr. Manson. Now, this might be one of my favorite scenes of this really great episode tonight. He pulls her aside, talking to her, and little chit chat, little small talk, and they're speaking privately, and he wants her advice, and he gives her a little motivation, spend some time with me. Let's get a little closer. He gives her some coke, right? And she plays it off. Like I said, I don't think that she took it because we all know that she is pregnant. But a lot of you all in the live chat says she was drinking in tonight's episode, which you might, I didn't see her fully taking a sip. I think she was, kind of playing people, pretending that she was. But neither here nor there. Lucas, again, he knows how to mix business with pleasure and does it in such a way that he makes people just kind of say things without them even realizing what they're saying. Because I don't think Shiv would be this personal. We see her, he says, so tell me, Shiv, this whole marriage situation and everything at hand. And I thought Shiv was going to be a Logan and be like, F off, that's personal. It just didn't work out. But she got a little bit more detail. She didn't give him the whole story, but she said, I did some things. He hurt me. I hurt him. Heartbreak essentially was the thing at hand. And, that was just enough for him to open up to her. And he does. And I don't know if this is a story you would be sharing with people that you just really kind of met, essentially. But he does. He opens himself up like a book. And he tells her, well, I don't want to give you the whole life story. Like you didn't give me your whole life story, but you got to the meat of it. And he tells Shiv that he has an ex-girlfriend story that involves a joke. Now, I don't know who finds this funny in life, but he broke up with his ex-girlfriend and he thought it would be funny to send her blood over and over and over again. And that's not the butt of the joke. The joke at hand is that it's someone that he works for, and it is a high executive. I believe her name was Impa. I can't remember her name off top, but she was essentially the Carolina. She handled that side of his business, and he mixed business with pleasure. It is his ex-girlfriend, and he wants Shiv's advice. Should I fire her? Should I lawyer it up and just pretend he say, she say, and not get it out there? I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, Siobhan, this is heavy stuff. this is ammunition. This is things that you can use against Manson, because this is information that I don't think you want to be sharing to anyone. He tells her that. Question I have for you all at home: will Shiv use that against him at any point in time? Because that's some pretty big stuff you don't want out there. And we know Shiv, she threw her brother on the bus a couple seasons ago when she, put that letter out there when they were beefing with him. I wonder if Shiv's going to use that in her back pocket. Now, obviously, she doesn't have any besides him telling her that. Like, she doesn't have a bottle of his blood or whatnot to prove it. But I thought it was funny, too, when he was like, oh, you think I could lure you up and just say it was like she said, he said, like, and Shiv's like, no, that'll probably be hard to spin considering that you sent her a lot of your blood, because she has the proof. I thought that was funny. But again, man, I don't know. I'm just trying to think, like, Manson, man. Is this, because this is we talk about, I'm keep comparing him to Logan. I don't think this is something that Logan would ever do. Give his someone like a Shiv, obviously not his daughter, but like someone in this position that's going to be buying your company and telling them this type of information. I don't think Logan would ever do that. So for Lucas to be telling her that really kind of paints the picture to me that he tells her in this scene, I like you. I think he means that, and I think he wants her to work for him and be his number two. So, and also too, I guess I didn't even really think about it to now. He could be making this up. He could be totally pulling this out of his ass, like he did with Tom earlier. Like, oh, what do you think about France? And then, he seems to play people. So I wonder if this was like again, I guess going back to the Logan comparison, him playing someone and just seeing their response. So let me know in the chat if Lucas was being honest, if he's been sending his ex-girlfriend blood, and if so, why would he tell Siobhan if he doesn't want her to be his like number two? Let me know what you guys think about that. Him kind of recruiting Siobhan, if he is indeed doing that, which I think he is. I think he wants her to be his number two when he does buy the company, and she's going to be smiling back and telling her brothers to go F themselves when she does that. So let me know how you guys feel about that. But while that's happening, Ken gets Greg involved, and he wants Greg to tell a journalist that the vibes aren't going good and get that PR train going. So again, moves Greg's like, yeah, I'm down. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to make it happen. So let me know what you guys think about all that. But before we get to the next morning and kind of wrap up this episode, again, I appreciate we got 204. We've been floating around like 170 to 180 to now 200. Thank y'all, man. You guys are awesome, man. You guys are super dope. I appreciate y'all, man. But let me check in with the chat before we move on to the next morning involving Siobhan and Ken straight up lying to his sister once again. Let me get to that scene before I check in with the chat. All right, where was it at? Here we go. Yeah, here we go. All right, so we got the screen grab. Let me check in with the homies. Let's see. She caught shit was hot and heavy. Interesting, Liv. Do you guys let me pull that up here. I can see it from Manson's end that he was probably being a little flirtatious. I think he even says something too. He's very impulsive in his decisions. I think he was making it obvious that he was kind of vibing her and kind of flirting with her. But I don't know if was Shiv giving it back. She tells Tom a little bit later that we'll talk about it. She was like, "Oh, man, he's handsome. He's got a good head on his shoulder." So, but I don't know if is it a two-way street? Am I reading that right? To Liv's point, was Shiv kind of feeling him, kind of vibing the Manson? Is she attracted to Alexander Skarsgård? Let me know. But that's a good question, though. That's a good question. Let's see. Let me see my boy Skyler talking about. I feel like Shiv was hoping that there was something wrong with her fetus. She get rid of it without any emotional baggage. Interesting. So she wouldn't possibly. Man, that's dark. I don't know, Skyler. Because if that was the case, I mean, why wait 20 weeks if you're gonna go that route? I don't know. It's a good point though, because I remember the conversation she had with her mom in season 3 about being a mom and being her mom being a bad mom, and she not wanting to be her mom growing up, and of course not being her dad because they're both terrible people. But I don't know. I think Shiv does want to be a mother. She wants to be better than her mom, wants to be better than her dad. But I don't know, Skyler. We might see, man. Again, I'm just waiting for her to tell someone that she's pregnant. Hell, it might be Manson at this point, as close as they've kind of gotten in this episode. Do you buy the story? Or that's what I was saying, man. That's what I was saying, Maddie. That's, you know what I'm saying. All of y'all that's here every week. We always clicking. That's what I said earlier, Maddie. I don't know if that was a true story or not. I really don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me because he is a weirdo. Let's see. Yeah. He said it again. If the story is true, that the girl who was his Carolina, is essentially who he was sending blood to, which was his ex. I mean, it might be true because again, I was talking about earlier. Every time she was around Manson, she kept like walking away from him because it would be uncomfortable, especially if he's sending her blood constantly. Like she probably doesn't want to have anything to do with him, but likes the job, right? Let's see. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Nate, that he was definitely potentially recruiting her for sure. Manson can't be trusted. We'll see, man. Well, would be mad if Shiv switches sides. I wouldn't be mad either because her brother's been lying to her so far. Let's see. Sorry if you guys can hear my dog. He is not a happy camper right now. Let's see here. Oh, we got a super chat. Hold on one second, guys. My man NYC, thanks for doing these live streams. You know what? Thank you. Thank you, number one, for the stream lab, but thank you for being here, man. You've been dropping some great nuggets tonight. With your great question that you had earlier, some great remarks earlier. So thank you, and thank all 201 of y'all that's watching live. I really appreciate you. But again, thank you for that super chat, and thank you for being here with me. And if you are indeed from New York or live in New York now, shout out to the Knicks. Good W today, and they might win that series. But thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. Let's see. Okay, so this is going back to the flirting. So I don't think Shiv was flirting with him. I think it was mostly a move from her. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it was really coming from her side, but I definitely felt it from his side. But interesting. But speaking of interesting, let's get back into it and kind of wrap up this episode. So at this point in the episode, it's the next morning, and Shiv brings to the attention yet again, hey Ken, there's what's going on. You read the news, there's some headlines out there saying that the vibes are not going well, the deal's not going well, and Ken flat out lies to his sister yet again in this episode. He's like, oh no, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who's to say. I don't know, Shiv. But Shiv, at the same time, Shiv doesn't tell him what she just previously learned. So she's giving it back. All right, you want to keep lying to me? All right, I got you, bro. Yeah, so I heard you met with Manson last night. What did he say? Oh, nothing. He still wants to buy the deal. Shiv, you forgot to mention the blood, and you forgot to mention the ex-girlfriend, you forgot to mention all the stuff you guys talked about. But I respect Shiv for that because, listen, the middle names of all these characters is lies. Is lie for sure. So I love that moment that Shiv kind of goes back. But let's talk about this scene here between Shiv and hold on. Before we move on, I think I see a comment. A poll. Should I put a poll? Poll for okay, yeah. Let me go to YouTube. Let me just put a pause in my review portion of it and go to YouTube. I'll make a poll. Yeah, let me make a poll for y'all and see how y'all are feeling. And I guess correct me if I'm wrong, the poll would be, do you guys feel if Mr. Manson was being honest or not? Is that the poll at hand? If so, let me create it. All right, so what was the question I asked? I forgot. The question was, do we believe if Manson was being honest about his sin and his blood, right? All right, so let's go ahead and do that. I am making a quick poll on YouTube. Forgive me. We are live. Let me see. Poll. Hit that button. Start a poll. All right. Pretty easy so far. Here we go. There we go. All right, guys. I'm going to put a poll in the chat. Do we believe? I don't know why I'm reading this out loud. Wait, hold on. So is the poll, now I'm looking at the chat now. Is the poll if Shiv was flirting with Manson, or is the poll was Manson telling the truth about his ex and in blood? Let me know in the chat, because I'll make a poll right now. Let me know. We got 10 seconds. Let me know in 10 seconds which poll do you guys want me to create? If Shiv and was flirting with Manson, or if Manson was telling the truth about his girl. All right, so I see Allison. What's up, Allison? Good to see you. Flirting. Michelle said flirting, stress. Okay, there's all right. You guys were the first ones to answer, so I'm gonna. Do we believe Shiv was flirting with Hanson? All right, poll created. Ask your community. Do we? All right, wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. All right, so the poll should be in the chat, guys. We should do these polls more often. I totally forget. I'm like a old person with technology. So there is a poll in the chat, and the question at hand is: do we believe that Shiv was flirting with Manson? I like that poll. We'll get to the results when we check back in with the live chat. But let's get back into the discussion. Oh man, this scene here was interesting to say the least. So we have Shiv who's feeling good about herself because she's making moves, and she has a brief conversation with her soon-to-be, I guess, ex-husband, and they're taking these weird shots at each other. I mean, Shiv is talking about his shoes and kicking rocks on my man's shoes. Tom talks about her earlobes and flicks her earlobes. So yeah, and then Shiv at the last minute says that she met with Manson and he's a handsome individual. Like, what is going on? Whatever was going on, I was here for it because it reminded me of when Shiv and Roman got into that like brotherly sister fight in season 1 when they were in that office or in that auditorium, and like when Roman slapped her and she put him in a head hold. It was just not to that extent, obviously, but it was just funny to me, and it just kind of just speaks to Tom just not taking her stuff anymore and pushing back. I'm not condoning physical violence, but, he flicked her ear, but I just thought it was just so funny them kind of throwing jabs at each other, and again, I just love that Tom is just finally, just because for many seasons Tom would just yes dear, and crawl up in the ball and put all Tom would normally use all this pent up energy and put it towards Greg, but now he's giving it back to Shiv. So I don't know, I just thought that the scene was just so funny between those two. But getting back into the real kind of serious moment of this episode, and probably, if not my favorite scene, probably my favorite scene. So as Ken and Rome have decided to blow up this deal, they're on their way to Palpatine on the lift. And then it was a small scene, but again, it just kind of shows that, Rome is still, the whole grieving was a bunch of BS. He does miss his father. And again, we see that throughout this episode. He wants to keep his father's name and his legacy still going. But then Connor sends Rome a picture of their dad as they're prepping him for the funeral, which I would assume that we're going to get a funeral episode. And I would assume it's going to be pretty sad and somber, but also quick whips. And I'm very curious on who's going to arrive at that funeral. And I don't know if that's like a season finale. I doubt it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like in a couple weeks, but neither here nor there. He sends him that. And the reason I bring this up, and let me actually pull up the screenshot. The reason I bring that scene up is because they're about to meet with Lucas, and the fact that Ken, that Roman gets this picture, it really throws him off. He's trying to ignore his feelings. He's trying to ignore the fact that his dad is no longer here, but he constantly gets reminded by this. And they haven't had a proper time to grieve. I talked about that earlier. Again, Manson being so manipulative, the fact that he had them meeting 2 days after they lost their father, all this stuff is very purposeful. But Connor sends him that picture and it really throws him off. And we see that in this next scene. And by this next scene, this is probably, I love Roman. He's a great character, man. But as far as like emotional moments and like dramatic moments, this is probably one of my favorite scenes from Roman of this series. So they're on the mountaintop, which again, I'm a production appreciator. When I see great things, I like to shout it out. I mean, come on. This is like put this on the wall. I mean, this is beautiful. The backdrop of the mountains. And I think it symbolizes all these characters right now, thinking that individually speaking, and maybe collectively with the brothers, that they're on top of the mountain. They're on a high. They're on the top of this mountain, and we know as an audience, they want to give him the news. They want to blow up the deal, and they want to make it seem like it's Manson's fault. And the way they're trying to do that is they have a movie studio and they're talking about like this nonsense of like they have a movie going on and there's red flags, there's reshoots, it's going to be more than we expected and all this stuff. And then Ken comes in and say, I wanted to, let's slow down things. Let's slow it down. We got some obligations we got to take care of. We got the presidential election going on. So, and Lucas is like, oh, okay, yeah. All right, that makes sense. Sure. Oh, we got a movie. Sure. All right. He knows what's going on. He knows they're trying to break up the deal and throwing all this stupid stuff in their face and the media coverage with the vibes being off. So Lucas just flat out says, again, mixing business with pleasure, I really liked working with your dad. He might have been a prick, but he knew how to handle his business, right? And then again, I just talked about what happened with Roman a couple seconds ago. He was just reminding his dad is dead, right? Literally a physical picture of his dad being prepped for his own funeral. So, and again, I want y'all to know that wasn't an accident. Manson threw that in there, just like he did when they first were talking about their meeting about his dad dying and just dads dying in general, top of mind. It throws them off, and we see that. He says that Luke or Rome is just like, our dad wasn't a prick, by the way. And I love that he kind of threw that in there and just kind of, again, hits that nail on the head, how he's still in his feelings and hasn't processed everything yet. But he tells him that, and I love Lucas, he called them a boy band earlier or a tribute band. And now he tells them that your dad would have been so embarrassed of his two little boys trying to do business. And he tells them, oh, do I have to go to the old guard to actually do this? And just throwing jabs after jabs after jabs. And he poked the bear. This is I don't know why I'm in my, I guess I was watching basketball earlier. He's the Draymond Green of the situation or the Dylan Brooks of the situation because he poked that bear. Roman finally, after last week saying that, oh, no, I'm good. I pre-grieved. I don't need, I probably prepared myself mentally because I knew his day was going to eventually happen. But then he finally snapped because Lucas got him there. Now, again, I'm not a business expert, but I'm pretty sure when you're doing these type of negotiations, you're not supposed to, there's certain lines you can't cross, and Roman crossed that. But I appreciate Roman for telling him about himself. I love this moment here, guys, because Roman finally confronts Lucas and tells him that he's been waiting for him. He's been waiting to say this entire episode, but he's like, first off, our dad died 2 days ago, and you have us immediately coming out here to the retreat to do the business. Now, to be fair, there is a moment where business does have to move on, but what he's saying is we're all human beings at the end of the day, and our businesses don't get buried with us when we die. Where's the humanity of what we're doing right now? So I love that he called Manson out for that. And again, Manson, he did that on purpose. We all know that. And then we see him he goes on and on and on, is laying it into him. And Manson's like, hey, man, cool it down, bro. I didn't think he was going to hit him because this is his game. This is his tactic to try to piss him off. He eventually says, that I hate you and the deal is over. And we see him walking away. And I put in my notes here, man, that Roman got personal. And again, I loved it. I loved Rome having that dramatic moment because we're always so used to seeing Roman being quick on a foot, having the jokes, having some dark jokes, by the way, too. We know that. But we've never seen Roman personally get that affected, right? So I just love him going to that moment and speaking his mind and telling him how he felt about himself, about Manson, right? So I just thought that scene was just perfect. The them being on the mountain, it's just all of it was just a perfect scene to me, and it's probably one of my favorite scenes from the great Roman that's on this show. So let me know how y'all felt about that. I thought it was a long time coming, and I love that we finally got to saw it because I've always been saying I figured it was going to come sooner rather than later, and we got it in tonight's episode, which was just kind of for me the icing on the cake to really make this episode, stand out to me. It's not my favorite of the season so far. Right now, that title goes to episode 3, but this episode was fantastic. But wrapping everything up, we're back on the plane. Kendall and Roman, in their eyes, the deal is over. The deal is dead. They talk to Palpatine. They're Luke Skywalker, and Han Solo, whoever you want to put in that mix. They thought that they killed the deal, but then Frank gets the call, and Manson tells them, again, we went from 144 to 187. We're up to 192. This is the deal that you can't, a lot of people compare this show to The Godfather. I'm not going to do my terrible Michael Corleone, type of impersonation, but this is a deal you can't refuse. This is a deal you can't refuse. 192, the deal's back on. Everyone's getting excited and happy, and even Roman Ken can't take up that deal. They would be idiots to not take that deal. So everyone's on a high. Everyone's celebrating, which brings us to this scene here, and that is, who's another character that finally gets to celebrate, and it's kind of on their own little high horse, reasonably so. And who's the character this entire episode has been kind of put in the dark? That's Siobhan. And boy, Siobhan tells Tom, go ahead and fire Sid with the new ATN. Hey, I saved your job, by the way, Tom. Thank me later. And by thanking me later, let's go you want to grab some dinner? You want to go hang out and maybe rekindle some things and see where things are at? I don't know. We'll see, Tom. Then, not only does she tell that to Tom, and Tom's like, dinner? Sure. I don't know. Oh, hold that thought, Tom. I got a phone call. Just keep that. Just hold that. I'll get back to you. In the way she's, oh, hello. It's Lucas. And what does Freak McGeek, send me your blood type of dude do here? He says, hey, can you take it? This dude's a weirdo. Well, not really weird. I don't know. It's a petty move. I might have made this move if I was Manson, but he tells her to take a picture of your brothers. I want to see their faces right now. Look at his face, by the way. I love Alexander Skarsgård. He stole this episode, man. He's so fantastic. And Siobhan, she does it, by the way. I don't want to leave that out. She does take a picture of her brothers, which to me, and she's smiling, laughing, giggling. They're in cahoots. Siobhan, Lucas. I'm not good at shipping characters' names. What do we call this? The Siobhan and Lucas pairing. I don't even want to embarrass myself by throwing something stupid out there. That's why you guys are here watching live or in the comments. What do we call this group of Siobhan and Lucas? Put your comments in the comments for me now. But as we wrap up the episode, the title. We got to get back to the title, Elliot. What's the name of this episode? It's The Kill List. And who was afraid of the kill list? The old guard. And it's time to say goodbye to cutting some fat off of the meat. All right, ladies and gentlemen, say goodbye to Ray, who is on the screen now. We really didn't get much from Ray. Who cares? Good luck on the job market. Ray's gone. Mark is gone. Hugo is gone. I think we all saw that coming. And Frank and Carl is gone as well. But you know who's still staying? You know who's still dancing at this party? Jerry's dancing. Jerry's still here. Carolina's still dancing. She's still here. By the way, they're pretty good at their jobs, especially Jerry stepping in fourth quarter when she had to step in as the intern CEO. So she did her thing. But also, don't forget, who told Manson that Jerry was good? Carolina was good. Siobhan. So they're on the board. And then can't forget Tom. So bye, Ray. Bye, Mark. Bye, Hugo. Bye, Frank. Bye, Carl. And hello, Jerry, Tom, and Carolina. Carolina, what a great episode, y'all. This episode to me really showed me that Alexander Skarsgård is not an actor that doesn't get worried or scared to step up to the plate and to come in to this fantastic show with these great actors and just fit like a shoe. He was great. He's my MVP. I asked up top, who was your favorite character in tonight's episode? Manson, Siobhan, and Roman. Those are my top three. Y'all know how I feel about Ken. He's great, but those three stole tonight's episode. Got to give a runner-up to my boy Greg as well, doing some great comedic moments in this episode, but also looking out for us, but at the same time. So those are some standouts. I love the scene. I love every time Siobhan and Lucas shared some scenes tonight. The chemistry was fantastic. But let's talk about what to expect next, man. We got the presidential election going on. We have the deal being closed. What now with Siobhan? Is she gonna give her brothers the bad news that, all right, Siobhan, we sold the company. We got Pierce. We got our business in plan. I guess we're going to move forward. And she tells them, I'm good. I got a job, actually. I'm going to be working for Manson now. Oh, that's going to be so good, man. I can't wait to see how that plays out. Again, I predict we're going to get a funeral. We will inevitably see Logan getting buried. And again, I don't know if that's a season finale type of episode or if it's just like in a couple weeks. I saw the trailer of last week or next week, and I didn't get any remnants of a funeral going on. Just great stuff, man. This is another great episode of Succession, but we're going to wrap up the breakdown portion of the video, but we're going to continue to go live and take you guys' comments for those who are watching live. And for those watching the breakdown portion, come and join us live every Sunday night after the episode. We have a good time over here. So this is going to end the breakdown portion. Make sure to leave all your thoughts on tonight's episode in the comment section. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out all my contents on the channel now. Barry episode 3 for season 4. Evil Dead Rise review, spoiler rewrite of that. Beau Was Afraid spoiler review. We got a lot of stuff on the channel. Check it out. I'll check you guys out on the next video. But for my live audience, let's check in on that poll. Let me see what that poll was on the flirting thing, and then also catch up to you guys' comments on everything that we talked about. And also, while the people are still here live, let me know. Again, I know I asked earlier, but who was your MVP of tonight's episode? And what's your score? What would you give tonight's episode? So I got the poll pulled up here. Do we believe Siobhan was flirting with Manson? And I don't know if I can. Can I share my YouTube screen? I mean, sure, Elliot, that's a stupid question. Of course you can share your screen. We've been doing it this whole episode. How do I do that? Hold on. Where's the YouTube? Here we go. All right, so here's the poll. Can you guys see that? Here it is. Let me zoom in. So out of 61 people, oh, why is it freezing? Can you guys see that? Let me pull it up here. Yeah, you guys can see that. So 61 votes. Do we believe Siobhan was flirting with Manson? And 54% of you all said yes. All right. So do we ship them off? I'm gonna read those names, see if you guys put any names in the chat for Siobhan and Manson. Lucas, but 54% of you all said that, yeah, you believe she's flirted with him. All right. Very, very interesting. All right, guys. But let me get into the chat and see what you guys have been talking about as we wrapped up the episode. Michelle, I have a Pomeranian Pekingese. His name is Thor. He's a little monster. But yeah. Let's see. She was fake flirting. I mean, that could be the case. Yeah, I can see that too. Get what she wants out of the situation. Looks like a serial killer. That's how, I mean, hey, if we ever get a American Psycho remake, put him in that role. I think he would fit perfectly. Maddie, did the blood story turn her on? I don't know, man. Maybe. Come on, Maddie, coming through with the True Blood Succession. I love it. Interview with a Vampire. You guys are hilarious. We gotta do more polls, man. I forgot about that poll feed. It's just when you're live, you're answering questions. I'm trying to bring up screen captures. You just forget sometimes. There's so much stuff you can do. Let me see. Let's see. Always in support of Tom, standing up for Shiv. Oh yeah, so many great moments tonight, man. Michelle, it was so many good. That was one of them. That little fight they had was hilarious. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I'm glad that he stepped up for himself. Finally, again, not condoning any violence, right? But it's just like she's always beating him verbally and all that stuff. So it was good to see him stand up for himself. Tom doesn't have Greg beneath him and the pecking order anymore. Yep, good point. Allison, what's she saying here? I think the pregnancy realized she doesn't want to be stuck with Tom and was taking the opportunity to flirt with Manson on a semi-real level. Interesting. So are we shipping them? Is that what the kids say? Are we shipping those characters? Tom better not catch him in the street. Let's see. Let's see in Tom. Let's see here. I disagree with you about this way of seeing Tom, and that he was always yes dear in season 1. Tom already before the wedding says Shiv. He is on Logan's side when Shiv was with Gil against Logan. I mean, I know you said it earlier. You watched season 1 like every day, all day, so you would know better than me. And yeah, I mean, there hasn't been. Yeah, there's a couple times that he hasn't been yes ma'am, but not to this extent, right? We can agree on that. He's never stepped up to her in this capacity, but good point though. Good point. Let's see. Skyler's saying, wait, so how many days this season before it's over? It feels like they're just in the same week. Yeah, no. So the way that the writer said is every episode is a day later. So we're 5 days into this season. So it's day 5, and then next week will be day 6, and so on and so forth. So it's going by days. So we're just literally 2 days away from when Logan died. Right, Allison? I thought that was such a great scene. It was such a great scene. Yeah, he killed. Oh man. I'm so glad you guys agree with me. Roman did a great job in that scene. Yeah, it's best. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah. Roman's moment. Yep. Whole season happened the same week. Yeah. Thank you for clarification there. I think so, man. I think so. Or at least I don't think Ken and Roman are going to be on the same page after things are exposed. Roman got real. Yep. Roman has really grown since season 1. Yeah. I agree. You always like that you always hope to see that with any television shows, is that characters grow and not just stay reluctant and stay, in the same spot. You want to see that growth. And I love that we got that from Roman. Who said? Did someone say that? I didn't say that. Right? Flicked her in the ear. Tom did not slap Shiv. Can we stop saying that? Does anyone really think Tom could slap Shiv in public? Yeah. I don't know. I didn't see that. Maybe I missed some comments, but yeah, he didn't slap her. He flicked her ear. So yeah. Like how Kendall said nothing when he walked off with his brother. Yeah. He just kind of let it happen because he knew that it was bound to happen. Yeah, that was a great scene, man. I really love that. Yeah, like I said, he's trying to be like his dad, right? With his being emotionalist. That's off. Okay, so the MVP question. All right, awesome. So we got, and I asked it earlier, but maybe some of you guys weren't here earlier, so you're sharing your thoughts on the MVP. So we got a Roman in the chat. Let's see. Oh, we should do another poll. All right, let me do it. Hold on. Who will be the candidates? So let me start another poll by popular demand. Who was your MVP? Is that like a thing that we all do when we're like typing something out loud? We say it out loud. I don't know. Is that just me? Who was your MVP in tonight's episode? All right, so candidates Shiv. I think I can do 4 things. I think Shiv. I think we collectively say Shiv's on that list. Manson. Oops, shoot. I didn't mean to click it too soon. Can I end the poll or delete a poll? All right, let me do that again. My bad. So I'm gonna put a new poll for those still watching live. Who was your MVP in tonight's episode? And do not click enter. All right. And I keep talking out loud. All right. Manson, Siobhan, had option, Roman. Again, y'all know I like Ken, but it only gives me 4 options. I definitely think Manson, Siobhan, and Roman's in that conversation. Who's our 4th entry? I'm gonna give you guys 10 seconds. The first 3 things I see, 3 consistent names, I'm gonna put them in the list. I guess options would be Ken, Greg, Tom, I don't know, Hugo. I know someone mentioned Hugo earlier. So who's that 4th option? Let me see. I got some names. Kendall, Greg, Shiv. I already got Jerry. All right. I see one for Greg, Kendall. We already got Shiv on there. All right. We got Kendall. So that's going to be the last one. All right. Cool, guys. All right. Ask your community. Bam. There it is. All right, so I'm gonna check that poll before we wrap up to see where you guys are at. This poll is fun. I'm having fun. Y'all having fun? If y'all having fun, listen, man. If y'all having a good time, virtually tell me by hitting the thumbs up. Do your boy a favor, hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. All right. He did flick the hell out of her ear. She was shocked too. Let's see. Manson should have seen Manson, Rome, Kendall. Yeah, there's some great scenes tonight, man. Some really great stuff. Let's see. Kay is saying Sid is the boss at ATM. She is, yeah, her and Tom share those responsibilities. So yeah. Shiv was the MVP. She saved the deal before the mountain meeting. Yeah, she did. She did. Did he get an Emmy? Was Liv saying, did he get an Emmy for Big Little Lies? Because I love seeing him. Did he get an Emmy? I don't think he did. You're talking about season 1. He was great in season 1, by the way. Maddie, that totally went over my head. Your True Blood Succession comment, it was funny because I was just thinking of the blood. I used to watch True Blood before it got terrible. I totally forgot that he was in True Blood. Suki. Oh, man, I forgot. I think that was was that the first time I was exposed to Alexander Skarsgård? I think so. I don't know if you guys ever watched True Blood. First 3.5 seasons were fire. Like good stuff, man. Werewolves and vampires, love triangles. What was his character's name, Maddie, and Liv, or anyone that watched True Blood? I can't think of his character's name right now, but he was great. Suki. Oh, man, that was a great show before it got so bad when the fairies got involved. That was bad. But to answer your question, Liv, I don't know if he won or was nominated or won. I don't know if he was. He was great in that season. He was you talk about despicable and domestic violence. Oh man, he was a case, man. He was oof. These are the names. These are the names. Oh, Levon. I like that. Shavankis, am I pronouncing that right? You guys are great, man. Oh man, this is great, man. We got some other names. Oh man, this is great. This is great, man. You guys are hilarious. Y'all get it. I love it. All right, let's see. Frank stay getting fired. Yeah, you do. Deal will not close. Okay, so we think the deal won't happen. All right. Power moves. Yep, I agree. What Ashley talking about? Just hit me. Shiv equal Rose. Kendall equal Uncle Edwin. Rome equals Logan. The new generation. Maybe there are parallels. Just a thought. I see where your head's at, Ashley. And I like where your head's at. It's a very good point. You might be onto something there. Very good call out there, Ashley. If you're not going to be ghetto. The deal will implode. Probably. Manipulates everyone. Probably. Great episode. I agree. I believe so. I wouldn't see why she wouldn't be on the board anymore just because her husband died. Might get let's see. Was someone from Facebook. What's up, Trish? I think Shiv is pregnant, and I think that's why she approached Tom. I think it's Manson. Shiv is pregnant. You think it's Manson? Like, hold on, am I reading that right? I think it's Manson. Shiv is pregnant, and I think that's why she approached Tom. Am I reading this wrong, Trish? If you're still here, are you saying you think Manson? I don't know. You're not saying he got her pregnant, right? You're just saying like you think it's Manson. I might have asked the question earlier. I'm just not remembering the connection there. Let me know, Trish, if you still here. I wonder if Carrie is going to throw. I wouldn't put it past her after last week's shenanigans. I still think, yeah, he did. He said that he liked her. I think he likes her like her, business wise and personal wise. I don't know who the MVP should be. Hey, that's good. That means that it was just a great episode all across the board. Everyone brought their A game. I would love to see Carrie. I think because y'all know how I feel about her and her maybe being pregnant, right? So I think there's still gonna be some more Carrie. Not Carrie again. Let's see. Did Roman get Carrie's number? I think so when they were wrapping up. And then these are the scores for tonight's episode. 7 out of 10. Okay. I was a little bit higher. I was at a 9 out of 10 tonight for me. Just, it was funny. It was great emotions. It was great character moments, phenomenal acting. But I respect that. 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. We got an 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Oh, you think so? Interesting. 8 out of 8.5 out of 10. Let's see. 8 out of 10 MVP is Shiv. And a cute dog. Oh, yeah, he thinks he's cute. No, he's cute. You know, all dog parents say that, but no, my dog's pretty cute. After 3 weeks of 9, 10, 10, you go, okay, you got an 8 out of 10. I respect that. Like I said, I was at a 9, but I respect these scores. How do I find you on YouTube? Trish says, "Oh, hey, just MovieFiles. I'm not sure how it looks on the Facebook side of it, but yeah, just MovieFiles is my YouTube channel. We talk Succession, various other TV shows, movie reviews, live streams, all that fun stuff. So yeah, check me out on the YouTubes at MovieFiles, Trish. And I appreciate you being here from the Facebook side of it all. So shout out to Trish and anyone else that's watching from Facebook. All right, you have a good night. I'll see you next week. Have a great week as well. Appreciate you. What did you say earlier, CC? What comment did you say earlier? I might have missed it because there's so many great ones coming through. All right, so we got some MVPs in the chat. Oh, that's not the MVP question. I think that was the fourth. Yeah, the fourth person that we're going to bring on the list. I'm going to pull that up here in a little bit. Tom Shoes, Maddie, is that who your MVP was? Why was he wearing 2006? He got those Kawhi Leonards on. Tom was wearing those Kawhi Leonards tonight. Eric, thank you, Allison. True Blood was so damn good, man. Oh, man. And then when Joe Manganiello got in the mix. Oh, man, that was a good show. I missed the good old days. Alexander. Oh, he did get an Emmy? Okay. I'm not surprised. He was great. Eric Northman. Thank you. Yeah, see? Y'all see? True Blood was fire, man. Okay, yep, you're right. The 2 seasons of True Blood. Yeah. I would say, like I said, first 3.5. I think season 3 is when Joe Manganiello got involved, right? And that's when the fairies and all that stuff got it went off the rails pretty quickly. It was great for many, like I said, 3 seasons, I would say. Thank you, Ashley. I think we are coming to a close on the final comments. Need more Adrian Brody. Yeah, he's still out there. So we'll see if he'll pop up. My favorite episode this season was big words there, Maddie. Right now, season 3 or episode 3 is my numero. As acting Shiv is number 2. Okay, yeah, before we wrap, I'm gonna get to the chat. Actually, let me just do that now because we're gonna wrap things up here. I think this is the longest stream we've had tonight, or for this show, which is awesome. So we're gonna wrap it up here in a little bit, before I can take Little Man out for a walk and edit that video. All right, so let me go back to the YouTubes and in the poll. All right, let's see what everyone was. Who was the MVP? Who's the definitive MVP? Where's the poll? Where'd it go? There it is. All right, guys. So out of 36 votes, tonight's MVP, voted by you all, the live chat, who is awesome. 41% went to Shiv. We got 33% for Roman, 25% for Manson. Goose egg for my man Ken. All right, I think I'm in. So my order would be Manson, Shiv, and then Rome. But I respect that. 41% goes to Shiv. MVP. That's dope, y'all. All right, so final comments before we call it a night. And what a fun night. This was so much fun. All right. So last comments. Have I seen Infinity Pool? Yes, I have, Christine. Not only have I seen it, I reviewed it. I did a non-spoiler review, and I did like a little ending explain video. So I got 2 pieces of content, and I did some like YouTube shorts on it too. But yeah, I have seen Infinity Pool, which stars Alexander Skarsgård and Mia Goth, directed by Brendan Cronenberg. So yeah, I have seen it, and it is on the channel if you want to check out my thoughts on it. All right. Let's see. Got Lewis here. What do you think Manson's ex did to the... I hope she kept it, Lucas, for evidence, for if she needs to, take things to court. She has her evidence. So yeah. I think she did. Great question. Alex was great in Infinity. He was. Him and Mia Goth was great. And it was a different side of Alex. He was very, very kind of vulnerable, right? He wasn't as like masculine as he is in his other roles. So yeah, I really enjoyed his performance, and I thought Mia Goth was fantastic. I figured out how to get you on YouTube, subscribe, and Trish, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Welcome to the community, Trish. Like I said, we do this every Sunday, so hopefully I see your name pop up in the chat next Sunday. And thank you for joining the community. Good stream, MovieFiles. Thanks. Good chat too. Have a good peace out, Maddie. All right, y'all. On that note, we're gonna call it a night. What an episode! What a fun discussion. We got polls. We're gonna be doing polls now, moving forward. That was a lot of fun tonight. You guys are great. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. Before we leave, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the thumbs up on this video. Make sure to share the video if you know other people that love talking about the show. It's such a great community. So go ahead and share this. I would appreciate it. Leave your thoughts in the comments, those that are catching up on the replay. And I'll be editing the breakdown portion, and I'll be putting that out tomorrow morning. So support that video if you guys have time, like, share, comment, all that stuff for the algorithm. And then later this week, man, we'll be talking about, I saw this new action film called Sisu. People are calling it John Wick meets Mad Max Fury Road. I'll be dropping that tomorrow, I believe. Then I'll be seeing a new Marvel movie on Thursday. So keep an eye out for that. I might be going to the galaxy. Little Easter egg there. So keep an eye out for that. And we'll be back next Sunday talking Succession. I'll be back talking Barry next week. And there's something else. I'm not remembering. There's a couple of the screens I have that I'll be seeing, some independent films. So keep an eye out for all that. So I say all that to say, hit the notification bell for when your boy drops some new content. You can check it out. But in the meantime, check out my Barry review that's on the channel right now for the newest episode. Check out my Beau is Afraid spoiler-free review with the great Amanda from Candace Cinema and Kobe. We had a great discussion about Beau is Afraid. We broke it down like a fraction. We had a good time talking about that. And then I have my Evil Dead Rise content on the channel. I did a spoiler review on that. So check out that content. Thank you guys again for being here tonight. Such a good time. You guys are great. Have a good Sunday. Have a fantastic week. And I'll catch you guys on our next video. Peace.